There is a silent architect behind every victory and every downfall. It is not luck, it is not chance, it is not fate, it is belief. Before you ever take your first step, before your hands build or your voice commands, before a single decision is made, belief is already at work, whispering, echoing in the corners of your mind. And whether you know it or not, it is constructing your future. You become what you believe, not what you wish for, not what you post about, not what you say to impress a room. You become what you truly believe. In the dead silence when no one is watching, and the mirror looks back without mercy. Every empire built, every dynasty that rose from dust, every soul that shattered chains, defied the odds, bent reality to their vision. They all started with one seed, a belief. Andrew Carnegie believed that wealth could be harnessed for the good of mankind, and built an empire from nothing. Henry Ford believed he could bring the automobile to every working family in America, and transform the world economy. Thomas Edison believed there was no such thing as failure, only feedback, and in the process, lit the night with electric fire. But belief alone is not enough. It must be forged in the furnace of discipline, sharpened by clarity, empowered by purpose. Belief is not a pillow, it is a blade. You do not cuddle it in comfort, you carry it into battle. Because belief, real belief, will demand everything from you. It will pull you out of bed when sleep feels sweeter than progress. It will break you from the comfort of the herd and force you into solitude. It will demand sacrifice, patience, and a kind of hunger that burns beyond reason. But if you endure, if you stay faithful to the vision within, it will open doors that logic said were sealed. The world bends, not for the strongest or the loudest, but for those who refuse to back down from what they believe. Mindset is the soil, and belief is the seed. Without the right soil, even the most powerful idea withers. That's why it starts in your head, not your circumstances. Circumstances lie. They tell you you're not ready, that you need more money, more connections, more credentials. That where you're from defines where you can go. But history is littered with the bones of doubters who clung to excuses. What is true is this: the moment you decide that your vision is non-negotiable, that it will happen not if but when, you tap into a power few ever taste. Mindset is not positive thinking. It is not pretending everything is okay. It is the ability to look reality in the face and still say, I will win. I don't know how yet, but I will find a way. That is belief in motion. That is power. Because the truth is, belief without action is self-deception. But action without belief, that is burnout. That is movement without meaning. And too many spend their lives sprinting on treadmills, chasing goals that were never truly theirs, goals planted by society, by fear, by someone else's blueprint. Clarity is the compass. Without it, belief can be misguided. Napoleon Hill knew this when he wrote, "Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement." What do you want? Really want? Not what your parents told you, not what social media praises, not what's safe or logical, but what sets fire to your lungs, what makes your heart beat louder in the quiet, what scares you, not because it's wrong, but because it's so right that the weight of it feels terrifying. That is your vision. And when your belief aligns with that vision, when it's no longer optional but vital, you become dangerous. Because now your belief is not theoretical. It's embodied. It's in your walk, your speech, your decisions. And the world starts to respond in kind. You attract what you are, not what you say you are. That's the law. Energy doesn't lie. You either radiate conviction or you don't. And that conviction, it's not built overnight. It's carved in the dark hours, in silence, in rejection, in the days when nothing seems to work. It's easy to believe when everything is going your way. It's something else entirely to believe when the world tells you you're wrong, and you stare it down anyway. That's where purpose comes in. Purpose makes belief unshakable, because when you have a why that's bigger than your pain, you stop negotiating with resistance. You stop listening to fear. You stop asking for permission. Purpose makes you immune to cheap praise and empty criticism. You don't move for claps or opinions. You move because your soul demands it. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Abraham Lincoln lost countless elections before becoming the president who held a nation together in its darkest hour. These people didn't just have talent. They had a vision tied to purpose. And that purpose was rooted in belief so deep, it could not be drowned, no matter how many times they were told, no, you must be the same. If your dream is fragile, it will break. But if your dream is forged in the fire of belief, purpose, and discipline, nothing can stop it. Discipline is the bridge between belief and manifestation. It is belief in action. Anyone can feel inspired for a day, but the ones who change the world, they show up when the feelings are gone. They write the page when the muse is silent. They trade when the body aches. They study when the world sleeps. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I don't care if it's raining, if I'm tired, if it's hard. This is who I am, and I will not betray my future for the comfort of now. Discipline is not about punishment. It's about alignment. When you are disciplined, your actions speak your belief. Your habits preach your purpose. Your routine becomes sacred ground, not because it's easy, but because it builds the person you're becoming. You don't wait to feel like that person. You act like them now, and belief follows. Too many are waiting for the belief to arrive before they move. But movement is what creates belief. Action is what sculpts confidence. You don't think your way into greatness, you act your way into it. And every step, no matter how small, is a declaration. I am becoming the person I believe I can be. And that declaration, when made daily, turns into identity. Because belief, real belief, is not a statement. It is a standard. You stop tolerating the habits of the old you. You stop accepting mediocrity dressed as realism. You stop entertaining thoughts that contradict your destiny. You become ruthless with anything that pulls you backward, distractions, doubts, excuses, or even people. Because now you're building something sacred, a life that reflects the truth of who you really are, not the conditioned version, not the compromised version, not the version scared to fail in public, but the original design, the one who was born to lead, to create, to rise. But to become that version, you must kill the lie that says you are unworthy. You must silence the inner critic that echoes from past wounds. The one that says, who do you think you are? And answer not with apology, but with authority. I am the result of divine intention. I am here on purpose. I don't need permission to be great. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. Arrogance needs to be seen. Alignment needs to be expressed. And the more aligned you are with your belief, the less validation you need from the world. That's why so many never reach their potential. They're too busy waiting for someone else to believe first. But belief doesn't need applause. It needs proof. And that proof is your consistent action, your unwavering standard, your refusal to give in when the storm comes. And the storm will come, because belief will be tested. The universe doesn't hand out greatness without fire. That fire is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. You want to lead, expect betrayal. You want to rise, expect resistance. You want to build something legendary. Expect long seasons where you walk alone, misunderstood, doubted, exhausted, and still you build. Because belief without testing is fantasy. But belief that survives the trial, that is faith. That is the kind of belief that moves mountains. And when you walk through the fire and come out forged, something changes in your spirit. You become unshakable. You no longer ask, will it happen? You know it's already in motion. Every delay, every detour, every door slammed in your face, it's all part of the design. You stop cursing the process and start trusting it. You start seeing the invisible threads pulling your life together in perfect timing, like the unseen gears inside a clock. Because when you walk in belief, your delays are not denials. They are divine choreography. But belief doesn't mean you sit back and wait. You must move, not randomly, not recklessly, with vision. And vision requires clarity again and again. Every level of growth demands a sharper focus. You can't take blurry goals into a world that rewards precision. The clearer your belief, the stronger your magnet. The law of attraction, modernized and simplified, is this: you attract not what you want, but what you are. And what you are is what you believe yourself to be. That's why no external achievement can fix an internal disbelief. You can win awards, stack money, build status. But if you still believe you're not enough, you'll sabotage it all. You'll find ways to collapse what you built because deep down you think you don't deserve it. But when you believe you are worthy, everything changes. You stop chasing success like a desperate lover. You embody it, you magnetize it, you become it, and it starts following you. This is the hidden truth of high achievers. They don't just work harder. They think differently. They hold different expectations. They walk into rooms differently. They make decisions as if success is inevitable, and that belief rewires reality. They know that gratitude multiplies everything, that complaining poisons momentum, that every problem contains within it a key to unlock a higher version of themselves. Because when you live from belief, you stop fearing obstacles. You start feeding on them. Every setback is a lesson. Every loss is a teacher. Every failure is a rep in the gym of resilience. And that's the next layer: resilience. You will be knocked down. There's no script where that doesn't happen. But the difference between the average and the extraordinary is not who falls. It's who rises faster. Resilience means your belief is stronger than your circumstances. It means when life says no, you respond, "Watch me." It means when your plan collapses, your purpose doesn't. Because your belief isn't rooted in ease, it's rooted in identity. When you know who you are, you stop negotiating with life. You stop hoping for a break and start becoming the break. You realize that adversity is not your enemy, it's your anvil. And every hardship that was meant to break you becomes the weight that builds your strength. Nelson Mandela believed in freedom so deeply that 27 years in a prison cell didn't break him. He came out stronger, more focused, more dangerous to the systems that oppressed him. That's what belief looks like when it refuses to bow. You don't need 27 years in a cell to learn that lesson, but you will need to face your own prisons, the mental cages, the inherited fears, the old stories that keep you small, and you must rise from them, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Learning becomes your fuel. When you live by belief, your ego dies, and your hunger to grow takes its place. You no longer avoid feedback. You crave it. You seek wisdom from those who have walked the fire and made it out. You realize that learning is not a phase. It is a lifestyle. The world belongs to the learners, not the ones who know it all, but the ones who never stop seeking, questioning, refining. And as you learn, your belief sharpens. It stops being vague and becomes strategic. You no longer just say, "I believe." You show it through preparation, through craft, through execution. The world responds differently when belief is backed by mastery. And mastery doesn't come from dabbling. It comes from immersion. It comes from going deep while others skim the surface. It comes from being obsessed with excellence, not applause. Because the belief that lasts is not loud, it is lived.